Okay, we're in section 4, the related Sage and Sage computer algebra system. Again, this is optional. I'm not going to test you on it, nor am I going to require you to use this for anything in the course. Why do we want you to start using the computer system? So when you transfer to a four-year institution, you're not being thrown under the bus saying, I don't know why so many other students are ahead of me. No one should be ahead of you when you transfer from Essex College. You should have an experience in a computer algebra system. Again, a lot of it's incumbent upon what you do. We're hoping you pay attention to what we're talking about. Again, for the students that want to use the low bar, click on this over here. It'll bring you to the Sage Math website. On the Sage Math website, use the CoCalc. It's really the same thing. The only difference is when I hit the return button, you'd be hitting shift return instead. I want to go to this over here. And I realize some students get, when I always say they get lazy, what they do is they copy paste. And I think a lot of you guys in computer science, what you do is everything's copy paste. Like you'll say, the teacher say, oh, write a bubble sort algorithm. And what you'll do is you go to the internet, you'll search for bubble sort algorithm in the language. Like if it's Python, you'd say in Python. If it's in C, you'd say C. If it's in Objective-C, you'd say Objective-C. If it's in Swift, you say Swift. That's what you do. You copy paste. Nothing wrong with that. I got to be honest with you, other than the fact that it's considered cheating. But who would know? I mean, it's really simple. I mean, who would know I actually copy pasted reset? Who would know that? I wouldn't know that. Now, let me do the next one. I'm going to copy paste that. I'm getting really lazy today. And let me do this over here. And go back to my thing. And I just copy pasted, copy paste, error. What happened there? I just copied it. Well, here's the problem. A lot of times when you're copy pasting things, even code from the internet, what you're going to do is copy characters that may not be appropriate. And this is an example that characters are not appropriate. And it's actually pointing it out to me. So I'm going to type it in again, x equals var. And the appropriate character is actually just a single quote mark. Now you might say, what the hell's the other one? It's slanted. Someone says, why? It's the default of my system for when I typeset the problems. All right. Be aware of that. When you copy paste and there says there's an error, there's an error. Not in the code, but maybe in the character set you're using. That worked well. Now I'm going to say A is 5. I can do that, right? Now, what does that do? It just simply says A from now on is going to be treated like the number 5. And then it says B is 14. What does it say now? From now on, B is going to be treated as if it was 14. Then it says f of x. F of x is like a function. It's being defined square root of x, return. I got to get copy paste again. I'm going to copy paste this thing over here. I want to scroll back over the notes. And this looks somewhat familiar to me. Like, did I see something like, 5 and 14 and looks like an average value function, doesn't it? And square root of x. Have I done that? Look at this. Problem number 3 we did in class, right? Average value. So let me point out what I'm doing over here. Defining x as a variable. First of all, I reset to make a clean sheet. I defined x as a variable. I said A was 5. Well, A is 5 over here. And then 14 is the B. I said f of x was the square root of x. That's pretty good. It's over here. And then I found the average value. All right. Let me point out what the average value is. I called it C. Right. Some C. I don't know what it is. And I said 1 over B minus A. Well, it's this over here. The integration of, let's see, f of x from A to B. Let's see what it gives us. Gee, I don't even see it. Let's type C. Let's see what C is. Well, now I'm seeing it. And so it says, is it the same thing I got over here? And I want to claim, looking at it, you might be confused by this, but if you took 2/27 and multiplied it through, what would you get? 2/27 times 14 root 14 would be 28/27 root 14. I'm definitely seeing that. It looks like they multiplied it out. All right, what's the next one going to be? Minus 10/27 square root of 5. I definitely see that. So I just computed this thing over here. All right. Now someone says, why did you call it C? I guess because A, B, and C. You could have called it something else. Let me go back and read this part over here though. And I want to claim to you that reading this, I want to make sure I understand what it says. It says, find the value C between 5 and 14. So I got to tell you something. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to say this was C. I'm going to call it a different letter now because I don't think it was a good idea to call that C, right? C is a number between 5 and 14. So I'm going to call it, let's see, A, B, C. I'll call it D. And what's D going to be equal to this thing over here? All right. Now, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to solve an equation. And we kind of did this last time. Do you remember? And I'm trying to find out, the solution to the equation, right? And let me write this down for you. I'm going to call it a variable C now. So C is a variable. I know this is tough. I'm going to say solve f of C double equal sign. That says it's an equation. And I want it to equal D. All right. And what do I want to solve for? I want to solve for C. Let's see if you can do it. Wow. All right. So I see that. And it actually gives me one C value. By the way, I'm noticing that it says C double equal sign, a really bizarre looking number. Really bizarre looking number. I'm kind of wondering, is that number on the interval between 5 and 14? So what I want to do is I'm going to scroll back over here. I changed my code a little bit, and I'll tell you the number one reason I didn't like the fact that they use C over here. I just called it D, and I did the solve. Remember, I did that over there, and now I want to just simply, find out what this last line of code means to me. All right, what this last line of code. Let me write this down then. So S equals this here. I'm going to type S in. And I want to point out that, when I type an S, I get this thing over here, right? And suppose it's the same thing. Yeah, you're right. It is same thing. I'm going to tell you about this thing is over here. This is a listing. And in the listing, there's one thing. It's the first thing. Sage starts counting at 0. So let me type in S0, and I'll show you what it gives me. It just gives me the 0 entry of that matrix over there. It's that C equals thing, right? Now let's say I want the right-hand side. S0. There's an equation there, right? I just want the right-hand side of it. Right-hand side. I know this is overwhelming. It should give me the right-hand side of the equation. I got that. What I want to do, though, that number is bizarre to me. What I want to do is I want to approximate it. So dot N. Yep, a lot of work. And what number do I get? 9.315. And here comes the question. Is that number between 5 and 14? Of course it is. So what am I saying? F of that number would give me back the value D. All right. Okay. That's about it. Again, remember this. You may not want to use this product. You may want to use something different. That's fine. There are many things, including handout calculators, your cell phone. I don't think most people would take a handout calculator cell phone as being a serious computer algebra system. However, they are. Your cell phone, depending on what model it is more powerful than most desktop computers. They're really well-designed machines. And you can install things like Sage Math on a cell phone. I just think it's hard to use on a cell phone. We'd recommend a computer. Let me clear my screen out. And I'm going to claim that this is done. Now, someone says, I don't want to change the letters. I'll use your letters. You can. But realize this, letters often confuse students, all right? And they confuse me sometimes too. I have to rewrite so I'm not so confused by the letters. Thank you.